The bullet missed Elena Vance's skull by 2 inches. Glass exploded. Blood sprayed across $85,000 in cash. 3 masked gunmen stood at the window ready to finish the job. But they didn't see her coming. A 16-year-old runaway, starving homeless, invisible to the world for 3 weeks, sprinted across the street screaming at the top of her lungs. The first gunman turned, aimed at her face, pulled the trigger. She dove. The bullet tore through her arm, and in that moment, Sienna Brooks went from nobody to the most protected girl in America. 1,000 Hell's Angels were about to make her family. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to my channel and follow Sienna's journey to the very end. Comment below with the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Hunger is a living thing. It doesn't just sit in your stomach. It crawls through your whole body. It whispers in your ear. It tells you lies about what you do for food. Sienna Brooks pressed her fist against her ribs and kept walking. 3 days since her last real meal. The crackers from the way station were gone. Her body felt like someone had hollowed it out with a spoon. Romano's dumpster, she muttered. 9 o'clock. They throw out the good stuff. Her own voice startled her. She hadn't spoken to another person in 6 days. The November wind sliced through her jacket like it wasn't there. Nevada didn't care about homeless girls. Nevada would freeze you dead and not even notice. Head down, eyes forward. Don't let anyone see your face. Rule number 1. She'd learned it the hard way. The silver bracelet on her wrist caught the street light. Sienna's fingers found it automatically. The metal was ice cold, but she held it anyway. Her mother's last gift, 3 days before the cancer won. Brave hearts never walk alone. That's what the inscription said. That's what her mother whispered when she pressed it into Sienna's palm. Sienna didn't feel brave. She felt empty. She felt tired. She felt like lying down on the cold sidewalk and never getting up. But she kept walking. Because that's what you do when you have nothing left. You keep walking. Motorcycle engines. Sienna's body reacted before her brain caught up. She pressed herself flat against an abandoned building, shrinking into the shadows. The rumble grew louder. Headlights cut through the darkness like searchlights hunting escaped prisoners. 5 bikes roared past. Hell's Angels. She recognized the patches even in the dim light. Everyone in Ashford Creek had opinions about them. Teachers called them criminals. Cops called them trouble. Parents told their kids to cross the street if they saw the leather vests coming. But Sienna had watched them. From her hiding spots, from the shadows, from the invisible places. She'd seen a group of them change a tire for an old woman stranded on Highway 15. Seen them deliver Christmas presents to the trailer park. Seen the club president himself carry groceries for a blind man in the parking lot. The bikes disappeared around a corner. Sienna exhaled. They're not looking for you, she told herself. Nobody's looking for you. That was the truth. 3 weeks since she'd climbed out that window. No police, no social workers, no search parties. She was invisible. Invisible girls don't get found. The memory hit without warning. Mr. Henderson's footsteps in the hallway. 2 in the morning. The creak of her bedroom door opening. Just checking on you. His breath stank of whiskey. His hand rested on the door frame like he was deciding something. Sienna had seen that look before. At the 3rd foster home. She knew exactly what it meant. I'm fine. Her voice didn't shake. She'd learned to control that. He stood there, staring. Then he smiled. The kind of smile that made her skin want to crawl off her bones. See you in the morning. The door closed. Sienna waited until 3 a.m., packed her backpack, climbed out the window, started running, hadn't stopped since. Never going back. She said it out loud, pushing the memory down. Never going back. The warehouse district rose around her. Old brick buildings, rusted steel, some converted to businesses, most sitting empty with broken windows like missing teeth. The Hell's Angels clubhouse was 2 blocks ahead. She could already see it. The old factory with iron gates. Rows of motorcycles parked outside like sleeping beasts. Lights glowing from inside. Music thumped through the walls. She felt the bass in her chest before she heard the melody. Through the windows, she could see people moving. Men with beards and leather vests. Women with red lipstick and easy laughter. They were eating, drinking. living like they belonged somewhere. Sienna stopped walking. She should keep moving. Romanos would lock their dumpster by 10, miss it, and she'd go another day without food. But something held her feet in place. One window in the back, a woman sitting at a desk, different from the others. Hair pulled back neat, movements graceful. She wore leather like everyone else, but she looked more like a teacher than a biker. The woman was counting money. Stacks of it. Her lips moved as she counted, completely focused. Then she picked up her phone, laughed at something, tilted her head back with easy joy. "I bet she's never been invisible," Sienna whispered. She touched her mother's bracelet. Brave hearts never walk alone. Mom believed that. Sienna used to believe it too. Now she didn't believe in much of anything. A black SUV turned onto the street. Every nerve in Sienna's body fired at once. The SUV moved slow. Too slow. Headlights off. Wrong. Something was wrong. Sienna pressed deeper into a doorway, watching. The SUV stopped across from the clubhouse. Engine still running. Nobody got out. 1 minute. 2. Inside, the woman at the desk was still on her phone. Still laughing. Still completely unaware. The SUV doors opened. 3 men stepped out. Sienna's heart stopped beating. Dark clothes, black masks. One carried a duffel bag. One checked his phone. The third reached inside his coat. His hand came out holding a gun. No. The word escaped before she could stop it. The 3 men moved toward the clubhouse. They didn't run. They walked like men with all the time in the world, like this was just another job. Inside, the woman laughed again, 20 feet from the window. 15. Sienna's legs were frozen. Her brain screamed at her, "Run. Now. This isn't your problem. Stay invisible. That's how you survive." 10 feet. The lead gunman raised his weapon, and Sienna heard her mother's voice, not the weak voice from the hospital bed, the strong voice from before, the voice that sang lullabies and promised everything would be okay. Sometimes being brave just means staying when everything tells you to go. 5 feet from the window, the gunman took aim. Sienna made her choice. Then she ran, not away, toward. Her sneakers slapped the wet pavement. She didn't care about the noise. She opened her mouth and screamed louder than she'd ever screamed in her life. "Gun, they've got guns, get down!" The lead gunman spun around. Through his mask, she saw his eyes. Cold, dead, killer's eyes. He pointed the gun at her face. She dove. The shot cracked like thunder. Sparks exploded off the dumpster an inch from her skull. Inside the clubhouse, Case shouting. The woman at the desk hitting the floor. Another shot. Another. Glass shattering. Sienna curled into a ball behind the dumpster. Her arm was burning. Something hot and wet ran down to her elbow. Doors burst open. Men poured out. Contact left. 3 shooters. Get down. More gunfire, but not aimed at her anymore. Running footsteps. Tires screeching. An engine screaming. Then silence. Clear. They were gone. Anyone hit? Elena. Where's Elena? Sienna stayed behind the dumpster. Her whole body was shaking so hard her teeth clicked together. Her arm was definitely bleeding now. She could feel it soaking through her sleeve. Heavy footsteps approached. "Hey!" A shadow blocked the streetlight. A mountain of a man stood over her. Thick beard, arms covered in tattoos. His vest said Sergeant at Arms. "You hit?" Sienna couldn't make words come out. The man dropped to one knee. His face was scarred. His eyes had seen things that would break most people. But those eyes were gentle as he looked at her arm. "Graze," he said. "Bullet clipped you. Lucky." Lucky, Sienna almost laughed. "Duke," someone yelled. "We need you inside." The man called Duke looked toward the voice, then back at her. "Can you stand?" She nodded. "Then come on. Need to get that arm looked at." He reached down. His grip was firm but careful. Nothing like Mr. Henderson's hands. Nothing threatening. Sienna let him pull her up. Inside smelled like motor oil, coffee, and something cooking. The music had stopped. Lights seemed too bright after the darkness outside. People everywhere. Men in leather vests shouting into phones. Women gathering near the shot-out window. "Duke, who's the kid?" "The one who screamed, gave us warning." "She's bleeding." I know. First aid kit. Now. Duke guided her to a chair. Her legs buckled the second she tried to sit. A woman appeared. 40s, kind eyes, blood on her hands not her own. Hey, honey. Voice calm, like she handled gunshot wounds every Tuesday. I'm Elena. Can you tell me your name? Sienna opened her mouth. Nothing came out. That's okay. Elena was already working on her arm, cleaning the wound with something that burned like fire. You're safe now. You're safe. Safe. Sienna couldn't remember what that word meant. Sudden, where's my wife? The voice was thunder. The room went silent. A man pushed through the crowd, massive, built like a truck with a chest like a barrel, tattoos covering every inch of visible skin. But when he saw Elena, his face cracked open. Fear, raw terror, the kind Sienna never expected from someone like him. Elena. He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her against his chest. Tell me you're okay. I'm okay. Her voice was muffled. Marcus, I'm okay. Bullet missed. I saw the holes in the wall, right where your head. It missed because of her. Elena pointed at Sienna. Marcus turned. His eyes locked onto her like targeting lasers. She screamed, Elena said. Warn me. I hit the floor half a second before the shot came through. Marcus walked towards Sienna. Each step shook the floor. She wanted to run. Everything in her screamed to run. Nowhere to go. He stopped 2 feet away, looked down at her. You gave the warning. She nodded. You saw the shooters? Another nod. And you ran toward them. His voice dropped. Toward the guns. I wasn't thinking. You got shot. He looked at her bandaged arm. You took a bullet from my wife. A complete stranger. It's just a scratch. It's a bullet. His voice left no room for argument. You took a bullet for someone you never met. Why? Sienna's hand found her mother's bracelet. Because nobody helped my mom. The words came out before she could stop them. When our car crashed, we were on an empty road. Just us. She was hurt bad and I was too little to do anything and nobody came. Nobody stopped. She died holding my hand while I begged her not to go. Her voice cracked. I couldn't watch it happen again. Not when I could do something. The room had gone completely still. Elena's eyes were wet. Marcus's face was unreadable. What's your name? His voice was quieter now. Sienna Brooks. How old are you? 16. Something flickered across his face. Pain, memory. 16, he repeated. And your parents? Sienna gripped the bracelet tighter. Gone. Gone how? Marcus? Elena put a hand on his arm. Not now, she's in shock. 3 men just tried to kill you. This kid shows up out of nowhere and saves your life. I need to know who she is. She's a child who just took a bullet. I need answers. Marcus hadn't looked away from Sienna. Where do you live? Sienna stared at the floor. Where do you live in nowhere? Try again. I don't live anywhere. I sleep where I can. Under bridges, behind buildings, wherever's dry. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. For how long? Marcus demanded. 3 weeks. And before that, Sienna didn't answer. Before that, Marcus repeated. Foster care. The words tasted like poison. 5 different homes in 2 years. The last one was the Hendersons. Why'd you run? Marcus stopped. Let her answer. Sienna looked up, met his eyes. Because Mr. Henderson came to my room at 2 a.m. Because I saw how he looked at me. Because I know what happens next when a man looks at you like that. Dead silence. Elena pressed her hand against her mouth, tears running down her cheeks. Marcus's hands curled into fists. Ricky! His voice was ice. Get me everything on David Henderson. Everything. A young guy in the corner pulled out his phone, started typing. Already on it, boss. Duke stepped forward. What about the shooters? We going after them or not? In a minute. Marcus hadn't stopped looking at Sienna. First things first. This girl is under protection, full status. Anyone has a problem, come to me. Boss, we don't even know who she is. She saved my wife's life. That's who she is. Could be a plant. Death Vipers could have sent her. Marcus spun around. You really think Snake is smart enough to plant a 16-year-old kid who takes a bullet to sell the stay gay? The room went quiet. Didn't think so. He turned back to Sienna. Elena, get her somewhere she can rest. I'll handle the shooters. Marcus. Now. Elena touched Sienna's shoulder. Come on, honey. Let's go. Hi. They walked down a narrow hallway. Music and shouting faded behind them. Don't mind Marcus, Elena said. He's scared. Scared makes him angry. He's terrifying. He's a teddy bear. Just don't tell him I said that. They stopped at a door. Elena opened it. A small room, real bed, clean blankets, a window with actual curtains. Sienna stood frozen in the doorway. When's the last time you slept in a real bed? Elena asked softly. 3 weeks, maybe longer. Then tonight you sleep here. There's a bathroom through that door. Hot water takes a minute. Nobody's going to bother you. Sienna didn't move. Hey. Elena turned her around, looked her in the eyes. I was a foster kid too. Sienna blinked. What? Aged out at 18, no family, no money, nothing. I was homeless for 2 years before someone helped me get back on my feet. Who helped you? A biker, old guy named Preacher, found me half dead in a shelter and told me I was worth saving. Elena's eyes were bright with memory. I didn't believe him. It took years before I did. But he was right. She squeezed Sienna's hands. You're worth saving too, even if you don't believe it yet. Sienna sat on the edge of the bed after Elena left. She didn't touch the blankets, didn't lie down. Just sat there looking at the guardian angel patch Marcus had pressed into her palm. The stitching was rough. The wings looked hand-sewn. Outside, motorcycles rumbled. The floor vibrated with the sound. She should feel scared. She was in a building full of bikers, gang members, criminals according to everyone she'd ever known. But she didn't feel scared. For the first time in 3 weeks, she felt something else. Something she couldn't name. The door burst open. Sienna jumped to her feet, heart slamming against her ribs. Duke stood in the doorway. His face was grim. You need to come with me. What's wrong? The cops are here. They're asking about the shooting. He paused. And they're asking about you. Sienna's blood turned to ice. Cops meant questions. Questions meant CPS. CPS meant the Hendersons. I can't. You won't. Duke's voice was firm. Elena's handling it, but we need you downstairs. You need to play along. Play along with what? You're Elena's niece, visiting from Arizona. You saw the shooting, but you didn't see much. Got it. You want me to lie to the police? I want you to stay out of that house. His eyes met hers. You said Henderson came to your room at night. I believe you. I've seen that look in kids' eyes before. The cops won't. They'll send you right back. Sienna's hands were shaking. Okay, she whispered. I'm her niece. Good girl. Let's go. The main room was packed. Bikers formed a wall of leather and steel. 2 police officers stood near the door, hands resting on their weapons, trying not to look nervous. They were failing. We got reports of shots fired. The older cop had gray hair and tired eyes. Someone called it in from the highway. Marcus stepped forward. That's right. Someone took shots at my wife. 3 shooters. Black SUV, no plates. Long gone now. Anyone hurt? My wife has cuts from the glass. Nothing serious. Anyone else? The younger cop's eyes scanned the room. They landed on Sienna. Who's the girl? My niece, right? Elena appeared beside her, arm around her shoulders. Visiting from Arizona. Wrong place, wrong time. She looked scared. She watched someone try to murder her aunt. Wouldn't you be scared? The older cop was studying Sienna's face. She felt naked under his gaze. You see anything, sweetheart? Sienna swallowed. Just the guns, and then glass breaking. Everything happened so fast. You didn't see faces, recognize anyone? They were wearing masks. The cop held her gaze for a long moment. She didn't blink. Finally, he looked away. We'll need official statements. You know where to find us, Marcus said. The cops looked around the room one more time. They knew they weren't getting anything else tonight. They knew they were outnumbered 50-1. We'll be in touch. They left. The room stayed silent until the sound of their car faded. Then Marcus exhaled. Duke, where are we on the shooters? Traffic cams got them on Highway 9. Duke held up his phone. Ran the plates. Rental car picked up yesterday in Reno, and you'll never guess who rented it. Who? Duke zoomed in on a grainy image. Vince Malone, Death Viper's enforcer, Snake's number 2. The room erupted. Those bastards. I knew it. We hit them tonight. Quiet. Marcus's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Nobody's hitting anybody, not yet. They tried to kill Elena, and they failed because of her. He pointed at Sienna. Now I want to know why. Why tonight? Why Elena? How did they know she'd be counting the charity money? Could have been watching, Duke offered. For how long? We collected that money over 2 months. They hit the exact night Elena counts it, at the exact moment she's alone. That's not watching. That's inside information. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Someone in this room talked. No. Sienna watched the faces around her. Some angry, some confused, a few that wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. She'd learned to read people in foster care, learned to spot liars, dangerous ones, the ones who smiled while they sharpened knives behind their backs. One face stood out. Ricky, the young guy who'd been checking his phone earlier. He was standing near the back door, thumb moving across his screen, not looking up. His jaw was tight. His shoulders were tense. He looked like a man trying very hard to seem casual. Sienna had seen that look before, on Mr. Henderson's face when the social worker came to check on her. I need to talk to you, she said quietly to Elena. Not now, honey. It's important. Something in her voice made Elena stop. Look at her. Okay, what is it? Sienna leaned close, her lips barely moved. The guy in the back, Ricky, he's hiding something. Elena didn't react, didn't turn around. Her face stayed perfectly calm. What makes you say that? Body language. He's been on his phone the whole time, won't look at anyone. And when Marcus asked how the Death Vipers knew about the money, his hand stopped moving. That could mean anything. I've lived in 6 foster homes. 4 of them had people who said one thing and meant another. I know what lying looks like. Elena was quiet for a moment. Stay here, she said finally. Don't move. She walked over to Marcus, whispered something in his ear. His face didn't change. He laughed at something casual, like Elena had told him a joke. Then his eyes moved to Ricky, just for a second, barely a glance. Duke, he called out, come here a minute. Got something to show you in the back. Duke walked over. Marcus said something too quiet to hear. Duke's expression went flat. 3 of them walked toward the back room. On their way, Duke stopped next to Ricky. Hey man, boss needs to talk to you. Ricky looked up. His face went white. About what? Just come on. They disappeared into the back. The room kept buzzing. Conversations continued. Nobody seemed to notice. Sienna's heart was pounding. What if she was wrong? What if Ricky was innocent and she'd just gotten him killed? 5 minutes passed, then 10, then shouting erupted from the back room. I didn't. Shut your mouth, a crash, something breaking. The main room went silent. Every head turned toward the back. The door flew open. Duke and another biker dragged Ricky out by his arms. His face was bloody. His lip was split. Marcus walked behind them, holding 2 phones. Listen up. His voice carried through the room. We found our leak. He held up one of the phones. 2 burner phones, texts going back 3 months. Ricky's been feeding information to the Death Vipers. Routes, schedules, how much money we collected. Everything. The room erupted in fury. Traitor! I'll kill him! Let me at him! Marcus raised his hand. Silence fell. Ricky, you have one chance. Why? Ricky's face was a mask of tears and blood. They have my sister. They said if I didn't help them, they'd kill her. And you believe them? I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Marcus's voice was cold as ice. You could have come to us. We would have helped. Instead, you almost got my wife murdered. He turned to Duke. Cut his patches, put him out, and spread the word. If any chapter sees him, he's not one of us anymore. That's it, someone yelled. After what he did, he says they have his sister. Could be true, could be lies. Either way, we're not murderers. Marcus looked around the room. That's what separates us from them. Remember that. Duke dragged Ricky toward the door. Wait! Marcus stopped them at them. The sister. What's her name? Ricky was sobbing. Lucy. Lucy Malone. She's only 14. We'll find her. If she's really in danger, we'll get her out. Not because you deserve it, because she does. He waved his hand. Now get him out of my sight. After Ricky was gone, Marcus walked over to Sienna. She tensed, ready to run. Duke told me, he said, you spotted him before anyone else. Sienna didn't know what to say. How'd you know? I didn't know. I've spent a lot of time watching people, learning to tell who's safe and who isn't. That's a survival skill, I guess. Marcus studied her face for a long moment. You saved my wife's life. Now you found our traitor. Twice tonight you've protected this club. I didn't mean to. I know. His voice softened, just barely. That's what makes it real. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You just saw what was wrong and acted. He reached into his vest, pulled out a different patch. This one was larger, more elaborate. This is a family patch, not guardian angel. Family. It means anyone wearing our colors treats you like blood. He pressed it into her hand. You earned this. Both of them. Sienna stared at the patches in her hands. 2 pieces of embroidered cloth, probably worth nothing in the real world. But the way Marcus looked at her, the way Elena had fought for her, the way a room full of bikers had gone silent when she was introduced, they meant something. I don't understand, she said. You don't know me. I'm nobody. A foster kid, a runaway. Why would you? 16 years ago, I had a daughter. His voice changed, rougher, raw at the edges. Sophie, 7 years old when she got sick, leukemia. I sold everything I had trying to save her. My first bike, the one my father gave me. Our house, everything. He paused. She died in my arms. Held her for 3 hours before the nurses finally took her away. Sienna couldn't breathe. After that, I wasn't okay. For a long time. But then I realized something. The only way to honor her was to help other kids. Kids the world forgot about. Kids like she would have been if she'd lived. He looked at Sienna with eyes that had seen too much loss. When I look at you, I don't see a foster kid. I don't see a runaway. I see someone who matters. Someone worth protecting. His voice dropped. I see Sophie, what she might have become. Sienna's eyes burned. She blinked hard, forced the tears down. She'd cried enough in her life. Crying never fixed anything. I don't know how to be part of something, she admitted. Every time I try, it falls apart. Maybe you've just been part of the wrong things. Maybe I break everything I touch. Or maybe everything you've touched was already broken, and you've been blaming yourself for damage you didn't cause. She looked up at him. How do you know? Because I used to think the same thing. Took me 20 years to figure out I was wrong. He put a massive hand on her shoulder. The weight should have felt threatening. It didn't. You're not broken, Sienna. You're just bent. And bent can be straightened. Yisha. The sound of motorcycles swelled outside. Duke appeared in the doorway. Boss, more chapters arriving. We're up to 400. 400? Sienna looked toward the windows. The street was filling with bikes. Headlights stretched as far as she could see. Word travels fast, Marcus said. Someone tried to hit the president's wife. Every brother within 100 miles is rolling. All of them for Elena. For the club. For family. That's what we do. Elena appeared beside them. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. Final count before sunrise will be over 1,000, maybe more. 1,000 bikers for a shooting at one clubhouse. Sienna couldn't wrap her mind around it. What happens now? She asked. Marcus looked toward the windows, toward the growing army outside. Now we wait, we watch, and we make sure the Death Vipers understand something very clearly. What's that? His eyes were hard as stone. That they picked the wrong family to mess with. Sienna stood by the window as the night went on. Motorcycles kept coming. Dozens, then hundreds. Men and women in leather dismounted, greeted each other, formed groups. Some stood guard at the perimeter. Others gathered around burn barrels to stay warm. By midnight, the count hit 800. By 2 a.m., 1,000. 1,000 people. all here because someone had attacked one of their own. Sienna thought about the foster homes, the social workers who never called back, the teachers who looked through her like she was invisible. Nobody had ever shown up for her like this. Nobody. Elena found her still standing at the window as dawn began to paint the sky. You should sleep. Can't. I know the feeling. They stood together in silence, watching the sun rise over a sea of motorcycles. Elena. Yeah. Why did you lie to the police for me? You could get in trouble. Elena was quiet for a moment. When I was 18, I got arrested for shoplifting. Stupid stuff, food mostly. I was starving. The cop who caught me could have sent me to jail. Would have destroyed any chance I had at a future. What happened? He let me go. Told me everyone deserves one person who believes in them. Told me to find that person and hold on. She looked at Sienna. I never forgot that. So when I see a kid in trouble, a kid the system failed, I remember what that cop did for me, and I try to do the same. Sienna's throat tightened. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me. Just promise me something. What? Promise me you'll stop believing you're noble. Because the girl who ran toward bullets to save a stranger, that's not nobody. That's somebody worth knowing. Marcus stepped onto the clubhouse porch as the sun cleared the horizon. 1,000 faces turned toward him. The engines went silent. Brothers and sisters, his voice carried across the crowd. Last night someone tried to take something precious from us. My wife, our charity money, our reputation. Angry murmurs rippled through the crowd. They failed because of one person. Not a member, not a prospect. A 16-year-old girl who was in the wrong place at the right time. He turned and held out his hand. Sienna, come here. Her legs didn't want to move. 1,000 eyes watching her. 1,000 faces she didn't know. Elena touched her back. Go on. Sienna walked to Marcus's side. This is Sienna Brooks, he announced. She saw gunmen targeting my wife. She could have run. She should have run. Instead, she screamed. She ran toward the danger. She took a bullet to save a stranger. He raised her hand like a boxer who'd won a fight. She is not a member of this club, but from this moment on, she is under our protection. Anyone who touches her answers to all of us. The crowd erupted, 1,000 voices, 1,000 engines roaring to life, 1,000 fists punching the air. The sound washed over Sienna like a wave. It shook through her bones. It rattled her teeth. It felt like belonging. When the noise finally died down, Marcus spoke again. Sienna has no home, no family. She's been sleeping under bridges, eating from trash cans, running from a system that failed her. His voice hardened. That ends now. He turned to the crowd. Who here can offer this girl something better than a concrete bridge? Hands shot up everywhere. I own a diner on 5th, a woman shouted. Got a job for her if she wants it. My wife and I have a spare room, a man called out. Warm and clean. I'm a lawyer. I'll handle her case. Pro bono. Whatever she needs. I run a GED program. Education whenever she's ready. More offers. Jobs. Housing. Legal help. Medical care. Education. Sienna couldn't breathe. These people didn't know her. Had never seen her before tonight. Why would they? This is what family looks like. Elena had appeared beside her, voice soft. Not blood. Choice. You protected one of us. Now we protect you. Sienna looked at the crowd, at the outstretched hands, at the faces full of genuine warmth. She thought about her mother's bracelet. Brave hearts never walk alone. For the first time in 4 years, she started to believe it. The sun was fully up now. Most of the bikers had left, heading back to their homes and their lives, but a few hundred remained keeping watch, drinking coffee, talking in small groups. Sienna sat on the clubhouse steps looking at the 2 patches in her hands. Guardian angel, family. She ran her fingers over the stitching. Marcus sat down beside her. Long night. Yeah. How's the arm? Hurts, but I'll live. He nodded. You know what happens next, right? No idea. Tonight you decide where you want to sleep. Duke and his wife offered their spare room. So did 3 other families. Your choice. And then Then we figure out the rest, school, legal stuff, getting you officially clear of the foster system so Henderson can never touch you again. Sienna tensed at the name. Ricky pulled Henderson's records before everything went down. Marcus continued. 3 other girls filed complaints against him. Nothing ever stuck. Nobody believed them. We believe them. And we're going to make sure someone finally does something about it. Sienna looked at him. Why what? Why do you care? I'm just a random kid. You've got a club to run, enemies to deal with. Why waste time on me? Marcus was quiet for a moment. You ever heard the story of the starfish? Sienna shook her head. There's this beach covered with thousands of starfish stranded after a storm. A man walks along, throwing them back into the ocean one at a time. Someone asks him why he bothers. Says he can't possibly save them all. You know what he says? What? He picks up another starfish, throws it back in the water, and says, made a difference to that one. Marcus looked at her. I can't save every kid the world forgot about, but I can save this one. Right here. Right now, that matters. Sienna's eyes burned again. This time, she didn't fight the tears. She stayed on the steps as Marcus walked back inside. The morning sun was warm on her face. The smell of coffee drifted from the clubhouse. Somewhere someone was laughing. Sienna pulled out her mother's bracelet, looked at the worn inscription. Brave hearts never walk alone. She'd been alone for so long. Running, hiding, surviving on scraps and shadows. But maybe she didn't have to run anymore. Maybe it was finally okay to stop. She looked at the guardian angel patch, then at the family patch, then at the road stretching out ahead. For the first time in 4 years, the future didn't look like something to fear. It looked like something to walk toward. Duke's truck smelled like leather and engine grease. Sienna sat in the passenger seat, her backpack clutched against her chest. The guardian angel patch was pinned to her borrowed jacket. The family patch was tucked in her pocket, close to her heart. You hungry? Duke's voice was gruff, but not unkind. I'm okay. That wasn't what I asked. Sienna's stomach answered for her, a loud growl that filled the cab. Duke almost smiled. Martha's making breakfast. Woman cooks like she's feeding an army. You'll like her. What if she doesn't like me? She will. How do you know? Duke glanced at her. His scarred face was hard to read. Because Martha spent 15 years trying to have a kid. Never happened. She's got more love stored up than she knows what to do with. Trust me, she's been waiting for you. Sienna didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. The truck turned onto a quiet street lined with small houses, normal houses, the kind with lawns and mailboxes and flower pots on the porch, the kind Sienna had only ever seen from the outside. Duke pulled into a driveway, killed the engine. This is it, Sienna stared at the house. Blue paint, white trim, a garden gnome by the front steps. It's so normal. What did you expect, a dungeon? I don't know. Something more. Biker. Yeah, Duke chuckled. Actually chuckled. Kid, most of us are just regular people who like motorcycles. The leather and patches are for weekends. Rest of the time, we're mechanics and nurses and accountants. The front door opened. A woman stepped out. 50s, soft around the edges. Gray hair pulled back in a bun. She wore an apron covered in flour. Her face lit up when she saw Sienna. Oh, honey, look at you. Before Sienna could react, Martha had crossed the lawn and pulled her into a hug. Sienna went stiff. She didn't know how to do this, didn't know what to do with her hands. Your skin and bones, Martha said, pulling back to look at her. When's the last time you had a real meal? Last night at the clubhouse. That doesn't count. Clubhouse food is garbage. Come inside, I've got pancakes. She took Sienna's hand and led her toward the house. Duke followed carrying Sienna's backpack. Told you, he said quietly. She's been waiting. The kitchen was warm. It smelled like butter and maple syrup. Sienna stood in the doorway, not sure where to go. Sit, sit. Martha pointed at a chair. You like pancakes? Of course you do. Everyone likes pancakes. How about eggs, bacon? I've got both. You don't have to. Hush, sit down. Sienna sat. Martha piled a plate high. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast, more food than Sienna had seen in weeks. Eat, Martha commanded, all of it. Sienna picked up her fork, took a bite. The pancake was warm and sweet. It melted on her tongue. Something broke inside her. She started crying. Not sobbing, just tears streaming down her face while she kept eating. She couldn't stop either one. Martha sat down beside her, put an arm around her shoulders. It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now. You're home. Home. Sienna had never had one of those. Maybe she finally did. Duke's phone buzzed. He checked the screen. His face went dark. I gotta go. Marcus needs me at the clubhouse. What's wrong? Martha asked. Death vipers. They're making noise. Sienna's stomach clenched. What kind of noise? Duke hesitated. Nothing you need to worry about. Just eat your breakfast. He kissed Martha on the cheek, gave Sienna a nod. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in you don't know. Then he was gone. The house felt quieter without him. Martha squeezed Sienna's hand. Don't worry. Duke handles this stuff all the time. It's going to be fine. But her eyes said something different. Her eyes said she was scared too. After breakfast, Martha showed Sienna to her room. It was small, a twin bed with a blue quilt, a wooden dresser, a window that looked out over the backyard. I know it's not much, Martha said. We can decorate it however you want. Paint the walls, get some posters, whatever makes you comfortable. Sienna touched the quilt. Soft, clean, real. It's perfect. The bathroom's across the hall. Towels are in the closet. Take as long as you need. Martha paused at the door. And Sienna? Yeah. The lock on your door works. Keys in the top drawer. You can lock it whenever you want. Nobody will bother you. I promise. She left. Sienna stood alone in the room. Her room. She walked to the dresser, found the key, held it in her palm. Such a small thing, a piece of metal, but it meant everything: control, safety, choice, things she hadn't had in years. She locked the door, then she sat on the bed and cried until she had nothing left. The shower was hot, actually hot. Sienna stood under the water for 20 minutes, let it burn away the grime of 3 weeks on the streets. When she finally stepped out, she barely recognized herself in the mirror. Clean skin, wet hair, eyes that looked tired but not dead. She looked like a person again. Martha had left clothes on her bed while she was showering. Jeans that fit, a soft sweater, clean socks. Even underwear still in the package. Sienna put them on. Everything felt foreign. Everything felt like a gift she didn't deserve. Her phone buzzed. She didn't have a phone. The buzzing came from her old jacket, the one Elena had given her. She dug through the pockets, found a cheap flip phone she'd never seen before. One new message. She opened it. This is Elena. Gave you a burner so we can stay in touch. How are you settling in? Sienna stared at the screen. Someone was checking on her. Someone cared enough to ask. She typed back, good. Martha's nice. Thank you. The reply came immediately. You're family now. Family takes care of each other. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. Anything. Family. That word again. Sienna was starting to believe it might actually mean something. The afternoon passed quietly. Martha kept Sienna fed, made her lunch, then a snack, then offered dinner even though Sienna couldn't possibly eat more. You need to gain weight, Martha insisted. Doctor's going to check you out tomorrow. Elena arranged it, one of the club wives. She's good. I don't have insurance. Don't worry about that. But, Sienna, Martha's voice was firm but gentle. Let people help you. I know it's hard. I know you've been on your own for a long time, but you don't have to carry everything anymore. Okay, Sienna nodded. She didn't know how to stop carrying, but maybe she could learn. Duke came home after dark. His face was grim. He spoke quietly to Martha in the kitchen. Sienna heard fragments. Death vipers, threatened retaliation. Snake is furious. What about the girl? She's safe here. Nobody knows this address. Sienna's chest tightened. She was putting them in danger. Just by being here, she was making them targets. Maybe she should leave. Disappear again. Go back to being invisible. Duke appeared in the doorway. Stop it, he said. Stop what? Whatever you're thinking. You had got that look. The one that says you're about to run. Sienna didn't answer. Duke sat down across from her. Listen to me. We knew what we were getting into when we offered you a place. The Death Vipers have been a problem for years. This isn't about you. This is about them thinking they can push us around. But if I wasn't here, If you wasn't here, Elena would be dead. The charity money would be gone, and the Death Vipers would be laughing at us right now. He leaned forward. You saved her life. You found our traitor. You've done more for this club in one night than most prospects do in a year. So stop thinking you're a burden. You're not. You're one of us. Sienna swallowed hard. I'm scared. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Just don't let it make your decisions for you. He stood up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be busy. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow we deal with the Hendersons. Sienna's blood went cold. What do you mean deal with? Duke's smile was not friendly. I mean the lawyers got enough to get CPS to investigate. 3 other victims came forward once they heard someone else was talking. Your foster daddy's going to have a very bad week. He'll know it was me. He'll know it was you. And he won't be able to do a damn thing about it. Because by the time we're done, he'll be too busy defending himself in court to think about anything else. Duke headed for the stairs. Sleep, kid. You're going to need it. Sienna didn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak and groan of the house. Every sound was footsteps. Every shadow was Mr. Henderson coming through the door. She knew he wasn't there, knew she was safe, but her body didn't believe it. 3 weeks on the street had rewired her brain. Trust nothing, fear everything. Stay ready to run. Around 2 a.m. she gave up. She crept downstairs, careful not to wake anyone. Found the kitchen, made herself a glass of water. Martha was sitting at the table. Couldn't sleep either, the older woman asked. Sienna shook her head. Come sit with me. Sienna sat. They were quiet for a while. Just 2 people awake in the middle of the night. I was a foster kid too, Martha said finally. Did Duke tell you that? No. 3 homes before I turned 12. The last one was bad. Real bad. Sienna looked at her. What happened? I ran, just like you. Lived on the streets for almost a year before someone found me. Who found you? Duke. Martha smiled at the memory. He was just a prospect back then, 22 years old, full of attitude. Saw me digging through a dumpster behind the grocery store and asked if I was hungry. What did you say? I told him to go to hell. Sienna almost laughed. He came back the next day, and the day after that, kept bringing me food, didn't ask questions, didn't try anything, just kept showing up. Martha's eyes were soft. Took me 6 months to trust him. Another year before I let him kiss me. But he waited. He never pushed. He just stayed. And now you're married. 32 years next month. Sienna looked at her water glass. How did you stop being scared? I didn't. I still get scared sometimes. Still have nightmares about that last foster home. But the fear gets smaller. The safe moments get bigger. Eventually, you have more good days than bad ones. How long does that take? Martha reached across the table, took Sienna's hand. As long as it takes, and that's okay. There's no deadline for healing. Sienna felt tears threatening again. I don't know how to do this, how to let people in. Every time I try, something goes wrong. Nothing's going wrong this time. I promise, Mog. You can't promise that. Watch me. Martha's grip tightened. I've been waiting my whole life for someone to take care of. God didn't give me a baby, but he gave me you. And I'm not letting go, no matter what. Sienna broke. The sobs came from somewhere deep, somewhere she'd kept locked away for years. Martha held her, rocked her like a child. Let it out, sweetheart. Let it all out. The morning came too fast. Sienna woke in her bed. She didn't remember going back upstairs. Martha must have helped her. Sunlight streamed through the window. Birds were singing outside. Normal morning sounds. The kind she'd forgotten existed. Her phone buzzed. Elena, car's picking you up at 10. Lawyer meeting, then doctor. Then we need to talk about something. Something. That sounded ominous. Sienna typed back. Talk about what? No reply. She got dressed, went downstairs, found breakfast waiting. Eat fast, Martha said. They'll be here soon. The they turned out to be Elena and a man Sienna hadn't met. He was tall, silver hair, expensive suit, didn't look like any lawyer she'd ever seen in foster court. Sienna, this is James Wright, Elena said. Best family law attorney in Nevada. I'm not the best, James said. I'm the most expensive. Fortunately, you're not paying. They drove to a downtown office building, took an elevator to the 15th floor. James's office was bigger than the entire Henderson house. "Sit," he said. "Let's talk about your situation." Sienna sat. Elena sat beside her. "I've reviewed your case," James continued. "You've been in the foster system since age 12. 5 placements in 4 years. Current placement with David and Marcia Henderson. I'm not going back there." "No, you're not." James pulled out a folder. 3 other girls have filed complaints against David Henderson in the past 5 years. Sexual abuse. All 3 cases were dismissed due to lack of evidence. Sienna's hands curled into fists. "He did it? I know he did." "I believe you. More importantly, I can prove it now." "How, Siam?" James smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. One of the previous victims kept a diary. Detailed entries about what Henderson did to her. She was 13 at the time. The diary was dismissed as fabrication by CPS, but combined with 3 other testimonies and your statement, it establishes a pattern. What does that mean? It means David Henderson is going to prison, and it means you're never going back to that house. Sienna couldn't breathe. "There's more," Elena said. "What more?" James pulled out another document. "Given your age, your history of placement failures, and the documented abuse in your most recent home, I'm filing for emancipation." "What's that?" "Legal independence. The court declares you an adult. You make your own decisions. No more foster homes. No more CPS. No more system." "Is that possible?" "It's not easy, but with the right circumstances, yes. And you have the right circumstances." "What circumstances?" Elena spoke up. "You have a stable living situation with Duke and Martha. You have a support network. You have people willing to testify on your behalf. And you have a lawyer who doesn't lose." James nodded. "The hearing is in 3 weeks. I expect we'll win." 3 weeks? In 3 weeks, she could be free. Actually free, Patrice. The doctor's office was in a different part of town. Dr. Sarah Chen was small and precise. She had kind eyes and gentle hands. "I'm going to do a full physical," she explained. "Check everything, make sure you're healthy." "Okay." Sienna nodded. The examination took an hour. Blood tests, reflexes, questions about her medical history. "You're underweight," Dr. Chen said finally. "About 15 pounds under where you should be. Otherwise, you're remarkably healthy for someone who's been living rough." "Is that good?" "It's very good. It means you took care of yourself, even when nobody else did." Dr. Chen wrote something on a clipboard. "I'm prescribing vitamins, and I want to see you again in 2 weeks. We'll check your weight, make sure you're gaining." "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Thank Elena. She's the one who called in a favor." Outside, Elena was waiting. "How'd it go?" "Good. She says I'm healthy." "Told you." Elena opened the car door. "Now we need to talk." They drove to a coffee shop, found a booth in the back. Elena ordered 2 hot chocolates. "What's going on?" Sienna asked. Elena wrapped her hands around her mug. "The Death Vipers made a move last night." Sienna's stomach dropped. "What kind of move?" "They firebombed one of our garages. Nobody was hurt, but the message was clear. They're not backing down. Because of me. Because of the charity money. Because we embarrassed them. Because Snake is a psychopath who doesn't know when to quit." Elena met her eyes. "This isn't about you, Sienna. This has been building for years. But I made it worse. You saved my life. Whatever happens next, that's on them. Not you." Sienna gripped her mug. "What are they going to do?" "Marcus is handling it. We've got eyes on their clubhouse. We know where Snake is. We know who his lieutenants are. This won't last long." "What does that mean?" Elena hesitated. "It means one way or another this ends soon. Either they back off or we make them." "Make them how?" "You don't need to know the details." "Elena?" "Sienna." Her voice was sharp, then softer. "Some things are better not knowing. Trust me. Marcus has been doing this for 20 years. He knows what he's doing." Sienna wanted to argue, but she didn't have the words. She just nodded. Elena's phone rang. She answered, listened. Her face went white. Where is he okay?" Sienna's heart started pounding. "We're on our way." Elena hung up, threw money on the table. "We need to go, now." "What happened?" Elena was already moving toward the door. "They shot Duke." The hospital smelled like bleach and fear. Sienna ran through the corridors, Elena right behind her. They found the waiting room. Martha was there, face streaked with tears. Martha, Elena reached her first. How is he surgery? Martha's voice was hollow. Bullet hit his shoulder. Went through clean, they said. But there's damage. Is he going to be okay? They don't know. They don't know yet. Sienna felt the world tilting. Duke, big, gruff, gentle Duke. The man who'd carried her backpack, who'd driven her to his home, who'd told her she was one of them, shot because of her. This is my fault. The words came out before she could stop them. They shot him because of me. No. Marcus's voice came from behind her. She hadn't heard him arrive. They shot him because Snake is desperate to run. This has nothing to do with you. But if you hadn't, Elena would be dead, and we'd be in the same war anyway, just with more grief. Marcus walked past her, pulled Martha into a hug. He's tough, toughest man I know. He's going to be fine. You don't know that. I do, because I've seen Duke survive worse. He held Martha while she cried. Sienna stood alone watching, feeling useless, feeling guilty, feeling like the curse she'd always believed she was. An hour passed, then two. Sienna sat in a plastic chair staring at the floor. People came and went, bikers in leather, doctors in scrubs, nurses with clipboards. Nobody had news. Around midnight, a surgeon appeared. Family of Thomas Duke. Everyone stood. He's stable. The bullet did some nerve damage, but we've repaired what we could. He's going to need physical therapy, but he should recover full use of his arm. Martha collapsed against Marcus, sobbing with relief. Can I see him? She asked. He's still sedated. But yes, one at a time. Martha disappeared through the doors. Marcus turned to the room. Duke's going to be okay. But this isn't over. Snake crossed a line. He shot one of our brothers. That doesn't go unanswered. What are we going to do? Someone asked. Marcus's face was stone. Tomorrow we end this. Sienna didn't know what that meant. She wasn't sure she wanted to know. Martha came back after 30 minutes. Her eyes were red, but her face was calmer. He's awake. He's asking for you. She was looking at Sienna. Me. You, he specifically asked. Sienna walked through the doors, found Duke's room, pushed inside. He looked smaller in the hospital bed. Tubes in his arm, bandages on his shoulder, but his eyes were open. Alert. Hey, kid. Hey. You look like hell. You got shot. Fair point. Sienna moved closer, stood by his bed. I'm sorry. For what? This, all of this. If I hadn't... Stop. Duke's voice was weak but firm. I've been getting shot at for 30 years. This isn't your fault. This is Snake being Snake. But no buts. Come here. She stepped closer. Duke reached out with his good hand, took hers. Listen to me. I've got one job right now. Get better. Get back on my feet. Get back to my family. He squeezed her fingers. And you're part of that family now. So when I say this isn't your fault, I mean it. Okay. Sienna's throat was too tight to speak. She just nodded. Good. Duke closed his eyes. Now go home. Get some sleep. Martha's going to need you tomorrow. I'll take care of her. I know you will. A faint smile crossed his face. That's why I asked for you. Sienna walked back to the waiting room. Elena was there. Come on, I'll take you back to the house. Is Martha staying? All night, but she wants you safe at home. Duke's orders. They walked to the parking lot, got in Elena's car. The drive was quiet. Sienna stared out the window at the dark streets. Elena, yeah. What's going to happen tomorrow? Elena was silent for a long moment. Marcus is going to do what he has to do, to protect the club, to protect all of us. Is someone going to get hurt? I don't know. Are you scared? Elena's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Every time, every single time. She glanced at Sienna. But that's what love is, being scared for the people you care about, and doing what you have to do anyway. They pulled into Duke and Martha's driveway. Elena turned off the engine. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Will you call me? Let me know what's happening. I'll call. Sienna got out of the car, walked to the front door. Inside the house was dark and quiet. She climbed the stairs, went to her room, locked the door. Then she sat on her bed and waited for dawn. She didn't sleep. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Duke in that hospital bed, saw the blood, Saw the tubes and machines. He'd been shot because of her. No matter what anyone said, she knew the truth. Around 5 a.m., her phone buzzed. Marcus, it's done. Snake's in custody. His top men too, Death Vipers, are finished. Finished. Sienna stared at the message. Another text came through. Nobody else got hurt. We're all coming home. She let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. It was over. The sun rose over Ashford Creek. Sienna watched it through her window, pink and gold streaking across the sky. A new day, a different world than the one she'd lived in 24 hours ago. Duke was alive. The Death Vipers were done. She had a court date for emancipation. And somewhere in this town, there were people who called her family. Her phone buzzed again. Elena, coming to get you in an hour, bringing Martha home. Then we're all going to the clubhouse. Together. Together. Sienna touched the guardian angel patch on her jacket. For the first time in her life, she wasn't facing the morning alone. She was facing it with family. The clubhouse was different in daylight. Sienna stepped out of Elena's car and stared at the building. Last time she'd been here, it was chaos. Gunfire, shouting, blood on her arm. Now it was quiet, almost peaceful. But the bullet holes in the window were still there. Plywood covered the shattered glass. Come on, Elena took her hand. Everyone's waiting. Inside the main room was full. Bikers sat at tables drinking coffee, talking in low voices. They looked tired. Some had bandages. One had his arm in a sling. They all turned when Sienna walked in. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Marcus stood up from his chair. There she is, his voice carried across the room. The girl who started all this. Sienna's heart stopped. Started all this. He blamed her. Of course he blamed her. Duke was in the hospital because if it wasn't for her, Marcus continued, my wife would be dead, our charity money would be gone, and the Death Vipers would still be out there thinking they could push us around. He raised his coffee cup. To Sienna, the bravest damn kid I've ever met. The room erupted. To Sienna, hell yeah, one of us. Cups raised, voices cheered. Someone started clapping. Sienna stood frozen, not knowing what to do. Elena squeezed her shoulder. Breathe. I can't. You can. You're doing great. Marcus walked toward her. His face was exhausted, but his eyes were warm. How's Duke? Awake, complaining about the hospital food. Sounds like Duke. Marcus almost smiled. He's going to be okay. Doctor says 6 weeks of recovery, then physical therapy. He'll be riding again by spring. Relief flooded through Sienna's chest. I want to see him. Later, first we need to talk. He guided her to a table in the corner. Elena and Martha followed. Snake's in custody, Marcus said. Him and 6 of his top guys. Attempted murder, assault weapons charges. They're not getting out for a long time. What about the rest of the Death Vipers? Scattered, leaderless. Most of them are already looking for other clubs to join. The ones who stay loyal to Snake are too few to cause trouble. And so it's over. Marcus leaned back in his chair. The war's over, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. Sienna's stomach tightened. What then? James called this morning. Your emancipation hearing got moved up. Moved up to when? Next week. Next week. Sienna's voice cracked. That's too fast. I'm not ready. You're more ready than you think. Elena sat down beside us and James has everything he needs. Witnesses, documentation. The Henderson investigation is all over the news. The news, Martha pulled out her phone, showed Sienna the screen. The headline hit like a punch. Foster father arrested, multiple victims come forward. Below it, a picture of David Henderson in handcuffs. Sienna couldn't breathe. They arrested him. Him, she whispered. They actually arrested him. Last night, Marcus said, 5 victims total now, including you. CPS is launching a full investigation into how he got approved for foster care in the first place. Sienna stared at the photo, his face, that face that had haunted her nightmares for 3 weeks. Now he was the one in trouble. Now he was the one who couldn't escape. Are you okay? Elena asked softly. I don't know. Sienna's hands were shaking. I thought I'd feel happy or relieved, but I just feel numb. Yeah, Elena nodded. That's normal. Sometimes justice doesn't feel like victory. It feels like the end of something terrible. Will I have to testify? Probably, but not alone. James will be there. We'll all be there. Sienna looked around the table. Marcus, Elena, Martha. 3 weeks ago, she didn't know any of them. Now they were fighting for her. Why would I? The word came out before she could stop it. Why what? Marcus asked. Why are you doing all this? The lawyer, the doctor, the court case, you don't owe me anything. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You know why I started the children's charity after Sophie died? To help other kids. That's part of it, but there's more. He leaned forward. When Sophie was sick, I felt helpless, completely helpless. I couldn't save her, couldn't fix her, couldn't do anything except watch her fade away. His voice roughened. The charity gave me a way to fight back, to help kids I could actually help, to make a difference where I could. He looked at Sienna. You're not just some random kid to me. You're a chance to do what I couldn't do for Sophie, to protect someone, to give them a future. But I'm not Sophie. No, you're Sienna, and that's enough. Sienna's eyes burned. She'd spent her whole life feeling like she wasn't enough. Not enough for her father to stay. Not enough for the foster families to keep. Not enough for anyone to fight for. And now this man, this scary tattooed biker, was telling her she was enough just by existing. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Marcus stood up. Just let us help. That's all we ask. The next few days blurred together. Sienna stayed with Martha while Duke recovered. She visited him every afternoon, bringing magazines and complaints about hospital food. You're getting soft, she told him on the third day. Lying around in bed all day. I got shot. So walk it off. Duke laughed. Actually laughed. The sound made the nurses look up. Kid's got attitude, he said to Martha. I like it. She's been practicing, Martha replied, giving me grief about my cooking. Your cooking is perfect. That's what I said. Sienna smiled, a real smile, the kind that started in her chest and spread to her face. She'd forgotten what those felt like. James came by the house that evening. He brought a stack of papers and a serious expression. The hearing's in 5 days. We need to prepare. They sat at the kitchen table. Martha made coffee. Sienna's leg bounced under the table. Walk me through what's going to happen, she said. The judge will ask questions about your history, your living situation, your plans for the future. What kind of plans? Education, employment, how you intend to support yourself. I'm 16, don't have plans. Then we make some. James pulled out a document. Elena mentioned you're good at reading people, spotting liars. That's a valuable skill. It kept me alive on the streets. It could keep you employed in an office, security consulting, investigation work, human resources. I don't know anything about any of that. You'll learn. The point is you have options. You're smart. You're observant. You survived 3 weeks alone when most people couldn't last 3 days. Sienna looked at the document. It was a list: schools, job training programs, career paths. Someone had actually thought about her future. Someone had actually made a plan. The judge will also ask about your support system, James continued. That's where the club comes in. What do you mean, character witnesses? People who can testify that you have a stable home. People who care about you. People who will help you succeed. Who's going to testify? Marcus, Elena, Duke if he's well enough, Martha, Dr. Chen, Rosa from the diner. She's offering you a job, by the way. A job. Part-time, after school, flexible hours, enough to start building work experience. Sienna's head was spinning. 3 weeks ago, she was eating from dumpsters. Now she had a job offer, a court date, a future. What if it doesn't work? She asked. What if the judge says no? James closed his folder. Then we appeal, and we keep fighting as long as it takes. Why so? Because you're worth fighting for. He stood up. I'll see you in 5 days. Get some sleep. You are going to need it. Sleep didn't come easy. Sienna lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through worst-case scenarios. The judge could say no. She could be sent back to the system. Another foster home. Another chance for someone like Henderson to find her? Or worse, the Hendersons could fight back. Claim she was lying, turn everything around. Her phone buzzed. Elena, Can't sleep either, Sienna typed back. No, too much in my head. Want to talk? Not really. Okay, but I'm here if you change your mind. Sienna set the phone down, changed her mind, picked it back up. Actually, yes, I want to talk. 20 minutes later, Elena's car pulled into the driveway. They drove to an all-night diner, found a booth in the back, ordered coffee and pie. What's on your mind? Elena asked. Everything. Sienna stirred her coffee. The hearing, Henderson, Duke, all of it. That's a lot. Yeah, Elena took a bite of pie. You know what I was doing at 16? What? Shoplifting, sleeping in bus stations, getting into fights with other homeless kids over the best spots. Really? Really, I was a mess, angry at the world, convinced nobody cared about me. What changed, preacher? Elena's eyes softened at the name. He saw something in me I couldn't see myself. Kept showing up, kept believing. Eventually, I started believing too. How long did that take? Years. It's not a quick fix, Sienna. You don't just wake up one day and feel better. It's small steps. Good days and bad days, learning to trust again. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken? Elena reached across the table, took her hand. You're not broken. You're wounded. There's a difference. What's the difference? Broken things can't be fixed. Wounded things heal. Sienna looked at their hands. Elena's fingers were warm and steady. I want to believe that. You will, someday. For now, just keep going, one day at a time. The night before the hearing, Sienna couldn't eat. Martha made her favorite spaghetti with garlic bread, but every bite tasted like cardboard. You need to eat something, Martha said. I'm not hungry. You're nervous. I'm terrified. Martha sat down across from her. You know what Duke said when I called him this afternoon? What? He said you're the toughest kid he's ever met. And coming from a man who's been shot 3 times, that means something. Sienna almost smiled. 3 times? 3 times, all in different decades. He says he's collecting them. That's insane. That's Duke. The phone rang. Martha answered. Her face changed. When? Are you sure? Sienna's stomach dropped. What is it? What's wrong? Martha hung up. Her hands were shaking. That was James. Henderson made bail. The words didn't compute. Made bail how? His wife put up their house. He's out. Out, he's out. They have a restraining order. He can't come near you, but he was free, but he was out there somewhere. But he knew she was the one who talked. Sienna stood up. Her chair crashed backward. I need to go. I need to leave. Sienna, wait. He's going to come for me. You don't understand. He's going to... Hey, Martha grabbed her shoulders. Look at me. Sienna looked. He's not coming for you. The restraining order is real. The police are watching him, and this house is protected. Marcus has people watching the street right now. People, 2 cars, 4 bikers. Nobody gets close without us knowing. Sienna's legs went weak. You did that for me? Of course we did. Your family. There was that word again. Family. Sienna collapsed back into her chair. I can't do this. I can't go to court tomorrow knowing he's out there. Yes, you can. How? Because you've survived worse. You survived 3 weeks on the street. You survived the Henderson house. You survived getting shot. Martha's voice was fierce. You are stronger than you know. And tomorrow you're going to walk into that courtroom and show everyone exactly who Sienna Brooks really is. Who is that? A fighter, a survivor, someone who refuses to give up. Sienna closed her eyes. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Brave hearts never walk alone. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The courthouse was bigger than she expected. Sienna stood outside looking up at the stone columns and tall windows. Martha stood on one side, Elena on the other. Ready? Elena asked. No. That's okay. Let's go anyway. They walked inside. James was waiting in the lobby. He wore his best suit. His face was calm. How are you feeling? Like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Just breathe. Remember what we practiced. They'd rehearsed for hours. Questions and answers. How to sit, how to speak, how to look the judge in the eye. Sienna remembered none of it. Her brain was static. The judge's name is Patricia Williams, James said as they walked. 30 years on the bench, fair but firm, She doesn't like being lied to. I won't lie. I know, that's your advantage. They reached the courtroom doors. James stopped. One more thing. Henderson's lawyer might be in there, might try to object to your emancipation. What? His wife is claiming you're a runaway who made up stories for attention. They're trying to protect their foster care license. Sienna's blood turned to ice. They're calling me a liar. They're trying. It won't work. But be prepared. They might say things that hurt. I'm used to people hurting me. James nodded slowly. Then let's go show them what you're made of. The courtroom was smaller than she expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a judge's bench at the front. Sienna walked to the table on the left. James beside her. On the right side she saw them. Marcia Henderson, David's wife. Thin-lipped, cold-eyed. Next to her a lawyer in a cheap suit. No David. The restraining order kept him away. But Marcia was here, and her presence was enough to make Sienna's hands shake. Don't look at her, James murmured. Focus on the judge. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Be seated. Judge Williams was older. Gray hair, glasses on a chain around her neck. She looked tired but alert. We're here today for the matter of Sienna Brooks' petition for emancipation. She looked at James. Counselor? James stood. Your Honor, my client is 16 years old. She has been in foster care since age 12. She has experienced multiple placement failures and documented abuse in her most recent home. I've reviewed the file. Judge Williams looked at Sienna. Young lady, this is a serious request. Emancipation means taking full responsibility for yourself, housing, employment, health care, all of it. I understand, Your Honor. Do you have a plan? Yes. Sienna's voice was steadier than she expected. I have housing with a family who has agreed to let me stay until I finish school. I have a job offer at a local restaurant. I have a doctor who will see me for free, and I have people who will help me figure out the rest. And what people? James spoke up. Your Honor, we have multiple character witnesses prepared to testify, including Marcus Vance, president of the local Hells Angels chapter. The judge's eyebrows rose. Hells Angels? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Vance and his wife took Ms. Brooks in after she saved Mrs. Vance's life during an attempted robbery. I've read about that in the news. Judge Williams looked at Sienna with new interest. That was you, yes, ma'am? You ran toward gunfire to warn a stranger. Yes, ma'am. Why? The question hung in the air. Sienna thought about her mother, about the empty road, about watching someone die because no one was there to help. Because I couldn't not help. If I had walked away and something happened, I would have had to live with that forever. I didn't want to carry that weight. The judge was quiet for a moment. That's a remarkably mature answer for someone your age. I've had to grow up fast, Your Honor. From the other table, the cheap-suited lawyer stood. Your Honor, I'd like to object to this entire proceeding. On what grounds? Ms. Brooks is a runaway with a history of behavioral problems. She made false accusations against my clients, the Hendersons, and your client is currently facing 5 counts of sexual abuse. Judge Williams interrupted. I'd be careful about throwing around words like false accusations. The lawyer's face reddened. Those charges haven't been proven. Neither have your claims about Ms. Brooks. Sit down, counselor. He sat. Judge Williams turned back to Sienna. I've seen a lot of foster kids in this courtroom. Most of them are angry, defensive, looking for someone to blame. She paused. You're different. I don't know if it's because you've been through more than most or because you've found people who believe in you, but I see something in you that I don't often see. What's that, Your Honor? Hope. Despite everything, you still have hope. She picked up her gavel. I'm granting this petition. Effective immediately, Sienna Brooks is legally emancipated. She is a legal adult with full rights and responsibilities. The gavel came down. Sienna couldn't breathe. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm recommending a formal investigation into how David Henderson was ever approved as a foster parent. The system failed this girl. That failure needs to be addressed. She looked at Sienna. Good luck, young lady. I have a feeling you are going to do just fine. Outside the courtroom, Sienna fell apart. The tears came all at once. Weeks of fear and pain and exhaustion pouring out in one uncontrollable flood. Elena held her. Martha held her. James stood nearby pretending to check his phone. "I'm free," Sienna sobbed. "I'm actually free." "You're free," Elena confirmed. "No more foster homes, no more CPS. You're in control now." "I don't know what to do with that." "You'll figure it out. We all will." Marcus was waiting in the lobby. He'd been there the whole time, watching, ready to testify if needed. When he saw Sienna's face, he knew. She did it. She did it, Elena confirmed. Marcus walked toward them. His face was unreadable. Then he did something Sienna didn't expect. He hugged her. This huge, terrifying biker wrapped his arms around her and held on. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. Sophie would have been proud too. Sienna cried harder. That night they celebrated. The clubhouse was packed. Music played. Food covered every table. Bikers laughed and drank and slapped Sienna on the back. "To our newest adult," someone shouted. Cups raised. Sienna stood in the middle of it all, overwhelmed but happy. Actually happy. She'd forgotten what that felt like too. Duke was there, in a wheelchair against doctor's orders. Martha had tried to stop him. "I'm not missing this," he'd said. "Wheel me in or I'll crawl." He was sitting by the door when Sienna found him. "Hey, old man." "Hey, kid," he grinned. "Heard you won." "Yeah. How's it feel?" She thought about it. "Weird, good, scary." "Sounds about right." She sat down beside his wheelchair. "Duke?" "Yay. Thank you for everything. The room, the family, believing in me." "Don't thank me. You earned it." "I got you shot." "You didn't get me shot. Snake got me shot. And he's in prison now, so I'd say we're even." He reached out, squeezed her hand. "You're going to be okay, Sienna. Better than okay. You're going to be great." "How do you know?" "Because I know fighters when I see them, and you're one of the best I've ever met." Sienna squeezed back. "Don't tell Martha, but you're my favorite." Duke laughed. "She already knows. She doesn't mind." The party went late. Sienna sat on the clubhouse steps watching the stars. Elena found her there. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "A month ago, I was sleeping under a bridge, eating trash, hoping nobody found me." She looked at Elena. "Now I have a home, a family, a future." Funny how fast things change. "Is it always like this with the club?" Elena sat down beside him. "Not always, but when it matters, yes, we take care of our own. Even people like me, foster kids nobody wanted, especially people like you." Elena's voice was soft. "Most of us came from nothing. We know what it's like to be forgotten. That's why we don't forget." Sienna touched the guardian angel patch on her jacket. "I still don't feel like I belong." "That's okay. Belonging takes time. But you will. Eventually." "How long?" "As long as it takes." They sat in silence watching the stars. Somewhere in the distance, a motorcycle engine rumbled. Sienna didn't flinch. She was starting to love that sound. The next morning brought unexpected news. James called while Sienna was eating breakfast. "Henderson pled guilty." Sienna dropped her fork. "What?" "All 5 counts. He's taking a deal. 10 to 15 years, no parole." "Why would he plead guilty?" "Because we have too much evidence. The diary, the testimonies, the pattern. His lawyer told him a trial would only make it worse." Sienna's hands were shaking. "So it's over. It's over. He's going to prison. You never have to see him again." She hung up. Martha was watching her face. "Good news. Henderson pled guilty. He's going away for at least 10 years. Martha closed her eyes. "Thank God. I thought I'd feel, I don't know, something, but I just feel empty." "That's okay." Martha reached across the table. "Closure doesn't always feel the way we expect. Sometimes it just feels like silence." "Is that enough?" "It has to be, because you've got a whole life ahead of you, and that matters more than anything he did or didn't get." Sienna looked at her mother's bracelet. Brave hearts never walk alone. She wasn't alone anymore. She had a family. She had a future. And for the first time in her life, she was ready to face it. 2 weeks passed like a dream Sienna was afraid to wake from. She started her job at Rosa's Diner. Mornings before school, afternoons after. The work was hard, carrying plates, cleaning tables, dealing with customers who looked through her like she wasn't there. But Rosa paid her in cash, gave her free meals, treated her like a human being. That was more than most jobs offered. "You're a natural," Rosa said one afternoon. "Fast learner, good memory, customers like you. They barely notice me." "That's what you think, but I hear things, people asking about the quiet girl with the sad eyes." "My eyes aren't sad," Rosa smiled. "Not anymore, but they were. First day you walked in here, I thought you were going to shatter if someone breathed too hard." Sienna wiped down a table. "I was scared. And now, still scared, just better at hiding it." Rosa laughed. "That's life, mija. We're all scared. The trick is moving anyway." School was harder. Sienna had missed 3 weeks. Makeup work piled on her desk like a mountain she couldn't climb. But Martha helped. Every night at the kitchen table, working through assignments, explaining the things Sienna had missed. "You're smart," Martha said. "Really smart. You just need to believe it. Smart doesn't matter if you can't catch up. You'll catch up, one assignment at a time." Duke came home from the hospital on a Thursday. His arm was in a sling, his face was pale, but his eyes were the same sharp and knowing. "Miss me?" he asked when Sienna walked through the door. "Not even a little." "Liar." She hugged him carefully, avoiding the injured shoulder. "I'm glad you're home." "Me too, kid. Hospital food was killing me faster than the bullet." Martha swatted his good arm. "Don't joke about that." "Who's joking? That Jell-O was a war crime." When they ate dinner together that night, all four of them around the table, passing dishes, trading stories, like a family. Sienna kept waiting for it to fall apart. It didn't. The children's hospital called on a Friday. Elena delivered the news at the clubhouse. "The charity donation ceremony is next week. $85,000 to the burn unit. And they want you there, Sienna." "Me, why? Because you're the reason that money wasn't stolen. You're part of the story now." "I don't want to be part of any story." "Too late." Elena's smile was gentle. "You became part of this story the moment you screamed." The ceremony was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Sienna spent the whole week dreading it. "I don't know how to act in front of cameras," she told Martha. "Just be yourself." "Myself is awkward and weird." "Awkward and weird is fine. People like real." "What if I say something stupid?" "Then you say something stupid. It's not the end of the world." Easy for Martha to say. She wasn't the one about to stand in front of 100 people. Saturday morning arrived too fast. Sienna stood in front of the mirror wearing clothes Elena had bought her. Nice jeans, a clean blouse, her leather jacket with the guardian angel patch. She looked like someone else. Someone who belonged. "You ready?" Martha called from downstairs. "No." "Come down anyway." The children's hospital was chaos. News vans in the parking lot, reporters with microphones, cameras everywhere. Sienna wanted to disappear. Elena took her hand. "Stay close, just follow my lead." They walked inside. The burn unit was on the 3rd floor. The walls were covered with paintings made by the kids. Bright colors, happy faces, hope in every brushstroke. A nurse met them at the elevator. "They're so excited to meet you," she said. "Especially the kids. They've been talking about the brave girl all week." "I'm not brave." "You saved someone's life." "That's pretty brave in my book." The ceremony room was full. Doctors, nurses, hospital administrators, a few kids in wheelchairs, bandages visible on their arms and faces. Marcus stood at the front next to a giant check. "There she is," he said when Sienna walked in. "The guest of honor." Every head turned. Sienna froze. Elena squeezed her hand. "Breathe." "I can't." "You can, come on." They walked to the front of the room. Marcus handed Sienna a microphone. "Say something." "What?" "Anything. They want to hear from you." 100 faces stared at her, waiting. Sienna's mouth went dry. She looked at the kids. Their eyes were bright, curious, full of something she recognized. Hope, despite everything. "I wasn't trying to be a hero," she said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I saw something bad about to happen and I couldn't walk away. I've been walked away From too many times. I know how that feels. The room was silent. These kids know, too. She looked at them directly now. They've been through stuff nobody should go through, but they're still here, still fighting. That's real bravery. Not me screaming at some guys with guns. Real bravery is waking up every day when everything hurts and choosing to keep going. A little boy in the front raised his hand. Are you a real angel? Sienna almost smiled. No, I'm just someone who got lucky. You don't look lucky, huh? You look sad. I used to be sad. I'm getting better. How? I found people who care about me, people who help me when things are hard. The boy nodded seriously. I have people like that too. My mom and the nurses and Dr. Sarah. Then you're going to be okay. You think so? I know so. The ceremony continued. Marcus presented the check. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. Sienna answered when she had to, stayed quiet when she could. Afterward, Elena found her in the hallway. You did great. I felt like an idiot. You made a 7-year-old smile. That's not idiotic. That's beautiful. Sienna leaned against the wall. I don't know how to do this. Be someone people look at. Nobody does. You just fake it until it feels normal. Does it ever feel normal? Elena laughed. I'll let you know when I find out. The drive home was quiet. Sienna stared out the window, watching the town pass by me. Elena, yeah, what Marcus said earlier about Sophie, about helping kids in her memory. What about it? He really loved her. More than anything. What happened to the marriage, I mean, after she died? Elena was quiet for a moment. It almost destroyed us. We grieved differently. I wanted to talk about her. He wanted to bury himself in work. We fought constantly, almost divorced twice. What stopped you? The club. They held us together when we couldn't hold each other. Preacher, the man who helped me when I was homeless, he sat us down and made us talk. Really talk. For hours until we didn't have anything left to hide. And that worked. It saved us. We learned that grief doesn't have to be alone. That carrying it together makes it lighter. Sienna touched her bracelet. My mom used to say something like that. Brave hearts never walk alone. Smart woman. She was. I miss her. That never goes away, the missing, but it gets easier to carry. They pulled into Duke and Martha's driveway. Elena turned off the engine. You've got something, Sienna, something special. The way you talk to that little boy, the way you connect with people who are hurting. I don't know what you mean. You will, someday. That night, Sienna couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the little boy, his question. Are you a real angel? She wasn't an angel. She was just a screwed up kid who made one good decision. But maybe that was enough. Maybe one good decision could change everything. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. Hello, silence. Then a voice she recognized. You think you're safe now. Her blood turned to ice. Mrs. Henderson, how did you get this number? You ruined my life. My husband is in prison. I lost my house. I lost everything. Your husband is a monster. He made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But you had to open your big mouth, had to tell everyone your lies. They weren't lies. You're going to pay for this. I don't know when, I don't know how, but you're going to pay. The line went dead. Sienna sat in the dark, her hands shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. She should tell someone. Martha, Duke, Elena. But what could they do? Mrs. Henderson hadn't made a specific threat. Just words, angry words from an angry woman. It was nothing. It had to be nothing. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she told Elena anyway. She called you. Elena's face went hard. When last night, around midnight, what exactly did she say? That I ruined her life, that I'm going to pay. Elena pulled out her phone. Marcus needs to know about this. It's probably nothing. She's just angry. Angry people do dangerous things. We don't take chances. An hour later, Sienna was at the clubhouse. Marcus sat across from her, his face unreadable. Tell me exactly what she said. Sienna repeated the conversation word for word. You think you're safe now. You're going to pay. That's a threat. Is it? She didn't say she was going to do anything specific. Doesn't matter. The intent is clear. Marcus looked at Duke. Double the watch on the house. Already done, must saying. And call James, see if we can get a restraining aid order against Marcia Henderson. On it. Marcus turned back to Sienna. You did the right thing telling Elena. Never hide something like this. I didn't want to cause more trouble. You're not causing trouble. She is, and we handle trouble. That's what we do. The restraining order was granted 3 days later. Marcia Henderson was legally prohibited from contacting Sienna in any way, but legal papers didn't stop the feeling of being watched. Every time Sienna walked to work, she looked over her shoulder. Every stranger on the street was a potential threat. Every unknown car was Mrs. Henderson coming to make good on her promise. You can't live like this, Martha said one evening. I know. Then stop. I don't know how. Martha sat down beside her. I lived in fear for years after I escaped my last foster home. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow was a monster. It took a long time to stop. What helped? Time, safety, people who loved me. She squeezed Sienna's hand. You have all of those things now. The fear will fade. It just takes patience. What if she actually tries something? Then we deal with it together. You're not alone in this, Sienna. You never have to be alone again. The words helped. A little. A week passed without incident. Then 2. Sienna started to relax, started to believe that maybe Mrs. Henderson was all talk. She was wrong. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Sienna was walking home from the diner, same route she always took. Past the grocery store, through the park down Oak Street, a car pulled up beside her. White sedan, windows tinted. Sienna's heart rate spiked. Keep walking. Don't look, don't. The window rolled down. Mrs. Henderson's face stared back at her. Get it in the car. No. Get it in the car or I'll make you. Sienna's legs were frozen. Run. She should run, but fear had locked her in place. Mrs. Henderson started to open her door. Then a motorcycle roared around the corner. Duke! His bike skidded to a stop between Sienna and the car. Get away from her! His voice was ice. Mrs. Henderson's face twisted with rage. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. You just violated a restraining order in front of a witness. Cops are already on their way. The color drained from Mrs. Henderson's face. She looked at Sienna one more time. Pure hatred. Then she slammed her car into drive and sped away. Duke was at Sienna's side in seconds. You okay? How did you know? Martha called. Said you were late. I came looking. 5 more seconds and she would have, but she didn't. Duke's hand was steady on her shoulder. She didn't because we were watching, because you're protected, because you're family. Sienna was shaking too hard to stand. Duke held her up. The cops arrived 10 minutes later. They took Sienna's statement. Duke's statement. Checked for security camera footage from nearby businesses. Marcia Henderson was arrested that night. Violation of a restraining order. Attempted kidnapping. Harassment. She wouldn't be making any more threats. But the fear didn't leave. Sienna sat in the clubhouse wrapped in a blanket staring at nothing. Elena sat beside her. Talk to me. I can't. Try. I thought I was safe. I really believed it. And then she was just there, right in front of me. And I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. That's trauma response. It's normal. It doesn't feel normal. It feels like I'm broken. You're not broken. You're healing. And healing isn't linear. Some days you feel strong. Some days you feel like you're back at square one. Will it ever stop? The bad days, no, but they get less frequent, and the good days get better. Sienna pulled the blanket tighter. I'm so tired of being scared. I know, honey, I know. Marcus found them an hour later. His face was grim. We need to talk, all of us. They gathered in the main room, Sienna, Elena, Duke, Martha, a few other senior club members. Marcus stood at the front. Marcia Henderson is in custody, but she's not the only problem. And what do you mean? Duke asked. I got a call from a contact in the prison system. David Henderson has been talking, making deals. Deals with who? Inmates, people with connections on the outside. He's been offering money for information about Sienna, where she lives, where she works, her routines. The room went cold. He's in prison, Martha said. How can he? Prison doesn't stop communication, it just makes it harder, and Henderson has money. Or at least his wife did. Enough to pay people to do things. What kind of things? Sienna's voice was barely audible. Marcus met her eyes. We don't know. That's the problem. But we're not taking chances. Starting tonight, you don't go anywhere alone. Not school, not work, not anywhere. For how long? As long as it takes. Sienna felt the walls closing in. She thought she was free, thought the nightmare was over, but Henderson was still reaching for her, even from behind bars. I can't live like this. Her voice cracked. I can't spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. You won't have to, Marcus said. We're going to handle this. How about Isaba? Let me worry about that. She didn't sleep that night, or the next. On the third day, Marcus called her to the clubhouse. Sit down. She sat. I want you to listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room. Okay? We have a contact inside Henderson's prison, a former member who made some mistakes but still has loyalty. He's been watching Henderson, listening. And Henderson made a deal, paid someone $5,000 for information about you. The same person was supposed to pass that information to a third party on the outside. Who? We don't know yet, but we intercepted the information. The third party never got it. Sienna's hands were shaking. So he can't. He can try again. He will try again. Prison gives people a lot of time to plan. Then what do I do? Marcus leaned forward. You have two choices. Keep living in fear, always looking over your shoulder. Or we end this, permanently. What does that mean? It means we make it clear to Henderson that if anything happens to you, anything at all, there will be consequences. Consequences he can't escape even in prison. You're going to threaten him. I'm going to educate him about what happens when you mess with our family. Sienna looked at her hands. Will it work? It has before. Men like Henderson are bullies. They target the weak because they think they can get away with it. But when they realize they're not dealing with someone weak, they back off. And if he doesn't back off, then we escalate. To what? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. 3 days later, Marcus visited Henderson in prison. Sienna didn't know what was said. Nobody would tell her, but when Marcus came back, his face was calm. It's done. What's done, Bowen? Henderson understands his situation now. He won't be making any more deals. Won't be hiring anyone else. Won't be thinking about you at all. How can you be sure? Because I made it very clear what would happen if he did, and I'm a man who keeps his promises. Sienna wanted to ask more, but she didn't. Some things were better not knowing. The weeks that followed were quiet. No more threatening calls, no more cars following her, no more fear lurking around every corner. Slowly the weight began to lift. Sienna went back to work, back to school, back to something like normal. Martha threw her a birthday party in March. 17 candles on a chocolate cake. The whole club was there. Elena, Marcus, Duke, Rosa, even Dr. Chen. Make a wish, Martha said. Sienna closed her eyes. She thought about everything she'd been through. The foster homes, the Henderson nightmare, the bullet, the fear. And she thought about everything she had now, a home, a family, a future. She blew out the candles. What did you wish for? Duke asked. I can't tell you, then it won't come true. That's just superstition. Maybe, but I'm not taking any chances. Later that night, Elena found her on the porch. Good birthday. The best I've ever had. That's a low bar. I know, but it's still true. They sat in comfortable silence. Can I tell you something? Sienna asked. Anything. For a long time, I thought I was cursed. Like bad things followed me wherever I went. Like I deserved everything that happened. And now I think maybe I was just unlucky. Wrong place, wrong people, wrong time. But luck changes, and mine finally did. Elena put an arm around her. That's growth, Sienna. Real growth. It doesn't feel like growth. It just feels like not being so heavy anymore. That's exactly what growth feels like. The spring formal was in 2 weeks. Sienna hadn't planned to go. Dances were for normal kids with normal lives. Not foster runaways with bullet scars. But Martha had other ideas. You're going. I don't have anything to wear. Then we'll buy something. I don't know how to dance. Then you'll learn. I don't have anyone to go with. Go with friends or go alone. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you go, that you have this experience, that you live your life instead of watching it pass by. Sienna looked at her. You're not going to let this go, are you? Not a chance. They went shopping that weekend. Elena came too. And Rosa, three women who refused to let Sienna say no to anything. They found a dress, dark blue, simple but elegant. You look beautiful, Martha said when Sienna came out of the dressing room. I look weird. You look like a young woman. A strong, beautiful young woman. Sienna looked in the mirror. The person staring back was someone she barely recognized. Not the scared girl who hid under bridges, not the wounded kid who flinched at shadows. Someone new, someone who had survived. Okay, she said, I'll go. The night of the formal, Sienna almost backed out 3 times. But Martha drove her anyway. If you hate it, call me. I'll come get you. What if I panic? Then you find somewhere quiet and breathe, and then you decide what to do next. What if everyone stares at me? Then let them stare. You face down gunmen, Sienna. High school kids don't even compare. Sienna laughed, actually laughed. When you put it that way, go, have fun, be a teenager for once. She went, and for one night she was just a girl at a dance, not a foster kid, not a victim, not a survivor, just Sienna, dancing badly, laughing with people she barely knew, feeling normal for the first time in her life. When she got home, Martha was waiting. How was it? Weird, but good weird. Did you dance? Badly. That's the only way to do it. Sienna hugged her. Thank you for making me go. Thank you for going. Duke appeared in the doorway. I heard there was dancing. Please tell me you got video? Absolutely not. Damn, I was going to use it as blackmail material. In your dreams, old man, he grinned. That's my girl. My girl. Such simple words, but they meant everything. That night, Sienna lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She thought about her mother, about what she would say if she could see Sienna now. Proud. She would be proud. Sienna touched her bracelet. I made it, Mom, she whispered. I don't know how, but I made it. The words hung in the darkness. Brave hearts never walk alone. Finally, Sienna understood what that meant. It wasn't about having people around every second. It was about carrying them with you, in your heart, in your memory, in the strength they gave you when they were alive. Her mother was gone, but she wasn't alone. She never had been. Spring turned to summer. Sienna finished her junior year with grades she never thought possible. B's and C's mostly. 1A in English. You wrote a hell of an essay, her teacher said, about survival, about finding family in unexpected places. Have you considered journalism? I haven't considered anything. You should. You have a voice, Sienna. People need to hear it. She didn't know what to do with that, but she kept the essay, folded it up and put it in her dresser drawer next to her mother's bracelet. Maybe someday she'd figure out what to do with her voice. For now, she just wanted to make it through the summer. The annual charity ride was in 3 weeks. Every year, the Hells Angels organized a motorcycle procession through town. They collected donations along the route. All the money went to the Children's Hospital burn unit. This year was special. This year, Sienna was riding. You sure about this? Duke asked when she told him. No, but I'm doing it anyway. You barely know how to ride. Then teach me. Duke stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. Right, kid. Let's see what you've got. The lessons started the next day. Duke's old bike was too big for her, so Marcus brought something smaller. A Honda Rebel, used but clean. This was Sophie's, Marcus said quietly. She never got to ride it, but I think she'd want you to have it. Sienna's throat tightened. I can't take this. You're not taking it. I'm giving it. There's a difference. Marcus, she would have liked you, Sienna. Sophie, you remind me of her in a lot of ways. Stubborn, brave, too smart for your own good. He pressed the keys into her hand. Take care of it and take care of yourself. Learning to ride was harder than she expected. The first day she dropped the bike 3 times. The second day she stalled out at every stop sign. You're thinking too much, Duke said. Stop thinking. Just feel. Feel what? The machine, the road, your own body. Riding isn't about control, it's about balance. About trusting yourself to react. I don't trust myself. Then we'll work on that too. By the end of the first week, she could ride in a straight line without falling. By the end of the second, she could turn corners without panicking. By the end of the third, she was ready, or as ready as she'd ever be. The morning of the charity ride was perfect. Blue sky, warm sun, the kind of day that made you believe good things were possible. Sienna stood in Duke and Martha's driveway looking at Sophie's bike. Her bike now. Martha came outside with a thermos of coffee. Nervous, terrified. Good means you're taking it seriously. What if I crash? Then you get back on. That's what riding is. Falling and getting back on. Sounds like life, Martha smiled. You're learning. The clubhouse was chaos when they arrived. Hundreds of motorcycles filled the parking lot and spilled onto the street. Riders in leather mingled, checking bikes, drinking coffee, trading stories. Sienna had never seen so many people in one place. There she is. Elena pushed through the crowd and pulled her into a hug. Ready for your big debut. I'm going to throw up. You'll be fine. Just stay in formation. Follow the bike in front of you. Don't overthink it. Everyone keeps saying that. Don't overthink. What if I can't stop? Then you'll think too much and fall off. And then you'll get back on. Simple. Sienna laughed despite herself. You're not helping. I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to distract you. Is it working? Little bit. Marcus called everyone together at 9 o'clock. Listen up. The crowd went quiet. Today we ride for the kids, same as every year. But this year is different. This year we have someone new joining us. He looked at Sienna. Most of you know her story by now. 3 months ago, she was sleeping under a bridge. Today, she's one of us. She saved my wife's life. She helped bring down the death vipers. She survived things that would have broken most people. His voice carried across the crowd. Sienna Brooks is proof that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about showing up when it matters. It's about protecting the people who can't protect themselves. He raised his fist. Today, we ride for the kids, but we also ride for everyone who's ever been forgotten, everyone who's ever been invisible, everyone who's ever needed someone to believe in them. The crowd roared, engines started. The sound was deafening. Sienna climbed onto her bike. Her hands were shaking. Elena pulled up beside her. You've got this. What if I don't? Then I'll catch you. That's what sisters do. Sisters. Sienna had never had one of those. Maybe she did now. The procession began at 10. 500 motorcycles rolling through town like a river of chrome and leather. Sienna stayed in the middle of the pack, surrounded by riders she was beginning to know. Duke was ahead of her. Elena was beside her. Martha rode behind, watching over her like always. People lined the streets. Families with children. Old couples in lawn chairs. Teenagers with phones filming everything. They cheered as the bikes passed. Waved signs. Threw donations into collection buckets carried by volunteers. Sienna had never been part of something this big. Had never been part of anything, really. But here she was, riding with 500 people who had chosen to accept her. The tears came without warning, streaming down her face hidden by her helmet. Not sad tears, not scared tears. Something else. Something she didn't have a name for yet. The route wound through downtown past the children's hospital and out toward the highway. 10 miles of open road. Sienna found her rhythm somewhere around mile 3. Stopped thinking, started feeling. Let the bike become an extension of her body. This must be what freedom feels like, she thought. Real freedom. Not running away, not hiding, just moving forward. The procession ended at the fairgrounds outside of town. Food trucks, music, a stage where local bands were setting up. Sienna parked her bike and pulled off her helmet. Her face was streaked with tears and road dust. Elena found her immediately. You did it? I did it. How do you feel? Like I could flee in. Elena laughed and hugged her. That's the feeling. That's why we ride. The celebration went on all afternoon. Sienna wandered through the crowd, accepting congratulations from people she barely knew. Great ride, kid. You're one of us now. Sophie would be proud. That last one hit different. Sophie, the girl whose bike Sienna now rode, the girl who never got to grow up. Sienna found a quiet spot behind one of the food trucks. She sat down on a hay bale and looked at her mother's bracelet. I wish you could see this, Mom, she whispered. I wish you could meet these people. You would have loved them. Talking to yourself, she looked up. A boy stood in front of her. Her age, maybe a little older. Dark hair, curious eyes. He wore a leather vest with a prospect patch. Just thinking out loud. Mind if I sit? She shrugged. He sat down beside her. I'm Tyler, Duke's nephew. Duke has a nephew. He has 3. I'm the youngest. The other 2 are in the military. Why aren't you bad knee, blew it out playing football junior year. Can't pass the physical. Sorry. Don't be. Everything happens for a reason, right? If I'd gone military, I never would have joined the club. Never would have been here today. He looked at her. Never would have met you. Sienna felt heat rise to her cheeks. You don't even know me. I know enough. Duke talks about you all the time. The brave kid who saved Elena. The survivor who doesn't know how special she is. Duke said that, word for word, he's proud of you, Sienna. We all are. She didn't know what to say, so she said nothing. They sat in comfortable silence watching the crowd. After a while, Tyler spoke again. Can I tell you something? Sure. I was in foster care too, before Duke and Martha took me in. Sienna turned to look at him. Really? Yeah, my mom was an addict. Dad was never around. I bounced around for a few years before Duke found me. How old were you? 12, same age as you when you entered the system, right? How do you know that? Duke told me. He tells me everything. Tyler smiled. He thinks we have a lot in common. Do we? I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out. Sienna looked at him. Really looked. Behind the casual smile, she saw something familiar. A kind of guardedness. The walls that foster kids build to protect themselves. Maybe, she said. We'll see. That's all I'm asking. The celebration continued into the evening. Someone announced the final donation totaled $92,000. The crowd erupted. Marcus took the stage. This is what we do, he shouted. This is who we are. Not the criminals the newspapers write about. Not the thugs the cops want you to fear. We are family. We are community. We are the ones who show up when nobody else will. More cheering. Sienna stood near the back watching. Elena appeared beside her. How you holding up? Good. Really good. You look happy. I think I am. Is that weird? Not weird, just new. You'll get used to it. Sienna watched Marcus on the stage. He's different up there, more alive. This is what he lives for. Helping people. Making a difference. After Sophie died, the charity became his whole purpose. It's beautiful. It is, and you're part of it now. Part of it. Sienna was still getting used to that idea. The fireworks started at 9 and Sienna lay on a blanket watching colors explode across the sky. Tyler was beside her. Not too close. Just there. Duke and Martha sat nearby, holding hands like teenagers. Elena and Marcus were somewhere in the crowd. This is what normal feels like, Sienna thought. Not the fake normal of foster homes where everyone pretended things were fine. Real normal. Messy and loud and full of people who actually cared. What are you thinking about? Tyler asked. A year ago I was in hell. Now I'm here. That's quite a journey. It doesn't feel real sometimes. Like I'm going to wake up and be back under that bridge. You won't. This is real. We're real. How do you know? Tyler turned to look at her. Because I used to think the same thing. That it was all a dream. That eventually someone would figure out I didn't belong and kick me out. What changed? Time. Eventually you stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. You start believing you deserve to be happy. I don't know if I'm there yet. You will be. It took me 5 years. You've only had 3 months. 5 years. That felt like forever. But if Tyler could do it, maybe she could too. The summer passed like a dream. Sienna worked at Rosa's, saved money, started thinking about the future. Duke taught her more about riding. She got better, faster, more confident. Tyler became a regular part of her life, not a boyfriend, not exactly, just someone who understood. And through it all, the club was there. Birthdays, barbecues, random Tuesday dinners at the clubhouse. Sienna stopped feeling like a guest, started feeling like she belonged. August brought news she wasn't expecting. James called on a Wednesday afternoon. I have something to tell you. Good something or bad something. Depends on how you look at it. David Henderson died in prison. Sienna's whole body went cold. What? Heart attack. Last night, he's gone. She didn't know what to feel. Relief, satisfaction. Fear that it wasn't real. Are you sure? Confirmed by prison medical staff. He's dead, Sienna. Really dead. She hung up the phone, sat on her bed, stared at the wall. Henderson was gone. The man who had haunted her nightmares. The man who had made her afraid of her own shadow. Dead. Martha found her an hour later. Elena called. She told me. Sienna nodded. How do you feel? I don't know, empty. Maybe I thought I'd feel something more. Martha sat down beside her. Sometimes closure doesn't feel like closure. Sometimes it just feels like silence. Is that enough? It has to be. He's gone. He can't hurt you anymore. That's what matters. Sienna looked at her hands. I spent so long being afraid of him, and now he's just not there, like he never existed. He existed. What he did was real, but so is this. Martha gestured around the room. Your life, your family, your future, that's real too, and it's bigger than him. That night, Sienna dreamed of her mother. Not a nightmare. A good dream. They were sitting in a kitchen that didn't exist. Sunlight streaming through windows. Coffee brewing on the counter. I'm proud of you, her mother said. For what? For surviving. For finding people who love you. For not giving up. I wanted to give up so many times. But you didn't. That's what matters. Her mother reached across the table, took her hand. You're going to be okay, Sienna. Better than okay. You're going to be amazing. How do you know? Because I'm your mother. I know everything. Sienna laughed. I miss you. I know, I miss you too. But I'm always with you. Right here. She touched Sienna's chest, right above her heart. Brave hearts never walk alone. Sienna woke up crying. But for once, they were good tears. Senior year started in September. Sienna walked into school with her head held high. She wasn't invisible anymore. People knew her name, knew her story. Some admired her. Some were afraid of her. She didn't care either way. First day of your last year, Elena said, dropping her off. How does it feel? Terrifying. Good terrifying or bad terrifying? I don't know yet. Ask me in 9 months. Deal. The year moved fast. Classes, work, college applications. Yes, college. Martha's idea. You're smart enough. You have the grades now. Why not try? Because I'm a foster kid. Colleges don't want people like me. Colleges want interesting people. You're the most interesting person I know. Sienna applied to 3 schools. Community college as a backup. State school as a reach. 1 private university that had a program for students from difficult backgrounds. The waiting was agony. February brought the first rejection. The state school said no. Sienna stared at the email, feeling something crack inside her. It's okay, Martha said. There are still 2 more. What if they all say no? Then you try again. Or you go to community college and transfer. There are lots of paths, Sienna. 1 rejection isn't the end. March brought the second letter. Community college acceptance. Relief flooded through her. See, Duke said, you're in. You're going to college. First person in our family to do it. I'm not really your family. Like hell you're not. April brought the surprise. The private university. The one with the program for students from difficult backgrounds. Sienna opened the email with shaking hands. Dear Sienna Brooks, we are pleased to inform you. She stopped reading. Read the first line again. Pleased to inform you. They said yes. Martha. The scream brought everyone running. Martha. Duke. Tyler, who happened to be visiting. What's wrong? And they said yes. Sienna's voice was barely audible. The private school. They said yes. Martha grabbed the phone, read the email. Her face crumpled. Full scholarship. They're offering you a full scholarship. What? Room and board, tuition, books, everything. Sienna couldn't breathe. That's not possible. It says right here, based on your exceptional circumstances and demonstrated resilience, I am awarding you our full presidential scholarship. Duke picked Sienna up and spun her around. You did it. You actually did it. Put me down. He didn't. Tyler was grinning like an idiot. I knew you'd get in. I told Duke last week. You did. He bet me $50 you wouldn't. Pay up, old man. Duke set Sienna down and pulled out his wallet, worth every penny. The celebration that night was epic. The whole club came out, food, music, speeches. Marcus took the stage. A year ago, I met a girl sleeping under a bridge. Scared, alone, convinced the world had given up on her. He looked at Sienna. Today, that girl is going to college on a full scholarship. She's going to get an education. She's going to do things none of us ever could. And she's going to remember where she came from. He raised his glass. To Sienna Brooks, proof that it's never too late to change your story. The crowd echoed. To Sienna. Sienna stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by people who loved her. People who had chosen her when nobody else would. Alina appeared beside her. How does it feel? Like I'm dreaming. You're not. This is real. You earned this. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Maybe, but you're the one who kept going. You're the one who didn't give up. We just gave you a place to land. Sienna hugged her. Thank you for everything. Thank yourself. You did the hard work. Graduation came in June. Sienna walked across the stage in a cap and gown diploma in hand. The audience was full of leather vests and motorcycle patches. Her family. When they called her name, the cheering was so loud, the principal had to pause. Sienna looked out at the crowd. Duke and Martha in the front row crying, Elena and Marcus behind them beaming, Tyler standing in the back giving her a thumbs up, and somewhere somehow she felt her mother watching. Proud. After the ceremony, everyone gathered outside. Sienna was mobbed with hugs and congratulations. You did it, kid. College-bound, aw, we're so proud of you. Martha pulled her aside. Your mother would be so proud. I know, I dreamed about her last night. She said the same thing. She's with you. Always. Sienna touched her bracelet. I know. The night before she left for college, Sienna couldn't sleep. She walked downstairs and found Duke on the porch. Couldn't sleep either, she asked. Nope. She sat down beside him. Scared? Terrified. Good. Means you're taking it seriously. She laughed. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. Fear isn't bad, Sienna. It means you care. It means you're doing something that matters. What if I fail? Then you get back up, same as always. What if I forget where I came from? Duke turned to look at her. You won't. You know how I know. How? Because you're asking the question. People who forget don't ask. They just move on. You're not that person. You never will be. She leaned against his shoulder. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too, kid. But you'll be back, holidays, summer, whenever you need us. Promise. Promise, this is your home now, no matter where you go. Home, she'd finally found one. The morning came too fast. Sienna stood in the driveway, her bags packed, her heart pounding. Martha was crying. Duke was pretending not to. Tyler waited by his bike, ready to ride alongside her to the airport. You have everything, Martha asked for the 5th time. Yes. Your laptop, your charger, the cookies I packed. Yes, yes, and yes, and you'll call every day. Every week, maybe every day at first. That's all I ask, Sienna hugged her. Thank you for everything, for giving me a home when I had nothing. You gave us just as much. Don't ever forget that. Duke stepped forward. Ride safe, study hard. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That's not saying much. True, he hugged her. Proud of you, kid. More than you know. Elena and Marcus arrived just in time. Elena was crying before she even got out of the car. I promised myself I wouldn't do this. It's okay. No, it's not. I'm a mess. She pulled Sienna into a hug. You're going to do amazing things. I believe that with my whole heart. Because of you, all of you. Because of you, we just helped. Marcus was last. He didn't say much, just handed her a small box. Open it later. What is it? Something to remember us by. Sienna put the box in her bag. She'd open it on the plane. Right now, she needed to go before she lost her nerve. The ride to the airport was quiet. Tyler didn't push her to talk, just rode beside her, steady and calm. At the terminal, he helped her with her bags. "This is it," he said. "This is it? You're going to crush it." "How do you know?" "Because you're Sienna Brooks, the girl who ran toward gunfire, the girl who survived everything the world threw at her. College doesn't stand a chance." She smiled. "Thank you for being there, for understanding." "Always." He kissed her cheek, just once, quick and gentle. "Now go, before I change my mind and kidnap you." She laughed. "I'll call you when I land." "You better." She walked into the airport, didn't look back. If she looked back, she might not be able to leave. On the plane, she opened Marcus's box. Inside was a small medal, silver, the size of a quarter. On one side, the Hells Angels emblem. On the other, an inscription. "For Sienna, Sophie's sister in spirit, family forever." Beneath the medal was a note. Sophie never got to grow up, never got to go to college, never got to become the woman she was meant to be. But you will. You'll live the life she didn't get to live, not for her, for yourself, because that's what she would have wanted. That's what we all want. Be brave, be strong, be amazing. We'll be here when you come home. Always, Marcus and Elena. Sienna read the note 3 times. Then she held the medal against her chest and closed her eyes. Sophie? The girl she'd never met. The girl whose bike she'd ridden. The girl whose memory had given her a family. "I'll make you proud," she whispered. "Both of you." The plane lifted off. Sienna watched Ashford Creek disappear beneath the clouds. A year ago, she was invisible. A year ago, she was sleeping under bridges, eating from dumpsters, convinced the world had forgotten her. Now she was flying toward a future she'd never imagined. College, education, possibilities. She touched her mother's bracelet. Brave hearts never walk alone. She thought about everyone who had carried her this far. Her mother who had given her the courage to keep going. Elena who had seen something worth saving. Marcus who had lost a daughter and found a purpose. Duke and Martha who had opened their home and their hearts. Tyler who had shown her that healing was possible. And 1,000 bikers who had stood in the street and declared her family. She wasn't the scared girl who hid under bridges anymore. She wasn't the invisible runaway nobody wanted. She was Sienna Brooks, survivor, fighter, family, and she was just getting started. The flight attendant came by with drinks. First time flying, first time for a lot of things. Nervous. Sienna thought about the question. A year ago, the answer would have been yes. A year ago, she would have been terrified. But she'd faced gunfire, faced rejection, faced her worst fears, and survived. What was a plane ride compared to that? No, she said. I'm not nervous. I'm ready. The attendant smiled. Good for you. Good luck with wherever you're going. Thanks. I think I'm going to need it. But she didn't really believe that. Not anymore. Luck was what happened to other people. What happened to Sienna was choice. Choosing to scream when everyone else would have run. Choosing to trust when experience told her not to. Choosing to believe she deserved better. Those weren't lucky breaks, those were decisions. And she was going to keep making them. For the rest of her life. The plane broke through the clouds into brilliant sunshine. Sienna looked out the window at the endless blue sky. Somewhere below her, past was fading. The foster homes, the abuse, the years of being invisible. All of it getting smaller with every mile. And ahead of her, the future waited. Bright, unknown, full of possibility. She wasn't afraid. Not of the future, not of the unknown, not of anything. Because she finally understood what her mother's bracelet meant. Brave hearts never walk alone. It wasn't about having people physically with you every moment. It was about carrying love with you wherever you went. The love of people who believed in you. The love of people who chose you. The love that made you brave enough to face anything. Sienna had that now. She would always have it. No matter how far she flew or how much she changed, she was a Hell's Angel's daughter. A guardian angel with her own wings. And she was finally completely irreversibly free. The plane flew on, carrying her toward tomorrow. And for the first time in her life, Sienna Brooks couldn't wait to see what came next. She had been invisible. She had been broken. She had been forgotten. But not anymore. Now she was seen. Now she was whole. Now she was remembered. And nothing, not fear, not doubt, not the ghosts of her past would ever make her invisible again. Because brave hearts never walk alone. And Sienna's heart was the bravest of them all.